Welcome to today's roundtable dialogue on pressing issues related to anti-Semitism, the U.S.-Israel relationship, the situation in Lebanon involving Hezbollah, and Israel's war expectations. I'm Maria Malouf with the Capital Show. We are here to delve into these critical topics, explore their complexities, and understand their implications for both regional and global dynamics. Ambassador of Mozambique in the U.S., Alfredo Novunga, how do you see the efforts of your country combating anti-Semitism and also the joint effort between U.S. and Israel in this issue?
Thank you so much for that. Mozambique, as you know, is a country of inclusiveness. We don't have anti-whatever in our constitution. We accept all groups together. So we don't really support any kind of discrimination in anywhere in the world. So we appreciate what we ourselves are doing at the UN, UN Security Council, as a non-permanent member, trying to bring the notion, the experience we have from all the conflicts we have in Mozambique, that dialogue should prevail over any hatred or whatever situation that might be there that involves exclusion, be it from Jews, be it from Palestinians, be it from any other country. It's really something that we don't really appreciate.
How Mozambique can impact the U.S.-Israeli concern of security-wise, and you see the escalation now between Israel and Lebanon. What is your assessment?
We have voiced our concern in various forums, particularly at the UN Security Council, like I said, where we are non-permanent members. Our concern that the escalation of this conflict is something that can really overspill to other regions. But even if it's not overspilling, it's a situation that needs solution. And we have voiced that the two-state solution would really be a departing point, which means that we should have all the parts involved, all the parts concerned in a constructive dialogue. We as Mozambique, we have so much experience on this area of conflict among ourselves in Mozambique. We have been fighting, and then we had come together and sit, and through dialogue we have found our way. But it's not enough. If you are aware, in Mozambique we have terrorists up in the north, although being a country of inclusiveness, but you still have people who take chances and come and disturb and disrupt the law and order in the country. So,
yes.
Yeah, so those forces that of common sense, that are looking for progress and peace, should come together and try to find solution based on dialogue, but above all, the tolerance of each other's difference are important, not through violence, but through dialogue and peaceful way of solving the problem.
Absolutely right. Ambassador, my last question is, how do you see the role of Iran in supporting Hamas, supporting the war, supporting Hezbollah? How we can deal with it? And is there any efforts between Mozambique, Saudi Arabia, and UAE especially to combat the influence of Iran in the region and in the Middle East?
Well, we are not targeting influence of A, B, C country in the region. We are just for peace and peaceful coexistence among nations in the country. The same approach we have for the conflict in Middle East is the same we are having not only for the Israel and Palestinians, but all the countries involved in that region. Engage in a dialogue and try to understand each other and find a peaceful solution. Engaging in a conflict, in a war, it will never be a solution for whatever is the problem.
Thank you, Ambassador, for the message. Thank you.
Most welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
غدير كمال مريحي الموست ويلكم بالكابيتال شو. انت عضو سابق في الكنيست وايضا مبعوثه خاصه لوكاله اليهوديه لاسرائيل هنا في واشنطن. خبرينا مشاركتك اليوم في الكابيتال على الانتي سيميتيزم ديالوج، وكمان اكيد تناولتوا اسرائيل واخر الاحداث في لبنان والتنشن مع حزب الله. What is your approach?
نعم، أهلا بك. جئنا برسالة للمجتمع الدولي لنشارك في هذه الفاجعة التي حلت على قرية مجد الشمس، هذه القرية الصغيرة في الجولان التي فقدت في يوم واحد 12 طفلا بريئا في ملعب كرة القدم. وقيام حزب الله بهذا الخرق للحدود للخطوط الحمراء بإرسال وتوجيه هذا الصاروخ الإيراني محملا بأكثر من 50 كيلو من المواد المتفجرة إلى هذه القرية الصغيرة هو أمر مرفوض، علما بأنه لا تواجد لأي معسكر لجيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي في القرية.
الملاحظة، فكيف رد فعل المجتمع الدرزي هناك على هذه الحادثة؟
هناك غضبا عارما، هناك استياء شديدا وتساؤلات كيف ممكن أن يقوم حزب الله بتوجيه هذا الصاروخ إلى هذه القرية الصغيرة العربية المسالمة وقتل هذا العدد من الأطفال.
كيف ستكون تداعيات هذا الأمر، خاصة أنه منذ قليل يعني دقائق قليلة جاء الرد من إسرائيل باستهداف شخصية ما عرفت مين اسمها، بس يقال أنه نمبر 2 في حزب الله.
نعم، بدأ العد التنازلي. إسرائيل تعلم جميعا أن الأعداء إن كان حزب الله في الشمال أو حماس في الجنوب أو الحوثيون يعني لا يحترمون أي قوانين دولية، لا يحترمون أي قوانين هم بأنفسهم وقعوا عليها كقانون 1701 بالانسحاب من عبر نهر الليطاني. فإسرائيل تفهم اليوم أنه على ما يبدو فقط عملية عسكرية أمنية قوية ستكون ردا على هذا الاستفزاز الإيراني للحزب الله الغير مسبوق في هذه القرية.
كعالمية أنت يعني عشت الأخبار منذ زمن، وما هو تقييمك لخطاب نتنياهو واستقبال نتنياهو هنا في الولايات المتحدة؟ شو رد فعل الديمقراطيين؟ وأخبرينا بعض الكواليس ويعني تداعيات هذا الأمر.
إسرائيل هنا تعلم وهي تجند المجتمع والحلبة السياسية العالمية بأن تفهم، ونذكر الجميع نحن هنا نتعامل مع مشروع فارسي للهيمنة على المنطقة. يعني إيران تعلن بفخر أنها تسيطر على الشرق الأوسط، على صنعاء اليمن، على بيروت لبنان، على دمشق سوريا، وعلى بغداد العراق. فهم يعني لا يقومون بالعمل لازدهار المنطقة، ليس فقط تخريب المنطقة بل أيضا زرع الفتن وعدم الاستقرار وأيضا إبادة إسرائيل. فهنا الخطاب والسياسة الإسرائيلية تذكر المجتمع الدولي بالواجب الإنساني والأخلاقي والسياسي للحفاظ على السيادة الإسرائيلية والأمن الإسرائيلي في ظل هذه التطورات الخطيرة.
هل يعني أنت توافقين أنه التطرف موجود أيضا داخل حكومة نتنياهو؟ يعني الرد الفعل المعظم هل هو مبرر؟
اسمح لي بأن لا أتطرق إلى سياسة داخلية إسرائيلية في هذه الأيام. نحن نعيش هذه الفاجعة كدروز ولا يعني لا نصدق ما حدث. فاسمح لي اليوم بأن أركز بالمهمة التي جئت من أجلها إلى الكونغرس الأمريكي بنقل هذه الرسالة التي هي إنسانية بحت أولا.
نعم غدير، نلتقي معك في أوقات ثانية، وتعزينا طبعا لأهالي الضحايا هذه فاجعة حقيقية. شكرا لك لتواجدك معنا.
شكرا لك.
يلا كيو.
What is your opinion on anti-Semitism? Why it's rising right now, and how we can combat it? How can education help to reduce the tension?
I think it's important to confront anti-Semitism wherever it occurs. And it occurs in the extremes of our public opinion spectrum and in our politics on the far right, on the far left, and among radical extremist groups. The recent increase in anti-Semitism is tied to a hatred of Israel. That's not the sole reason for the rise of anti-Semitism, but I think the events of October 7th, the attack on Israel, and the demonstrations post-October 7th against Israel and supporting Hamas have been devastating to our community because individual Jews are being targeted by people who hate Israel and deny Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. So it's been a very difficult and really frightening time for Jews in this country.
What, in your opinion, are the benefits of the alliance between U.S. and Israel, and how can the two nations can build an initiative for peace in the Middle East?
Well, Israel is our closest ally in the region because we share democratic values, but beyond that, we have very close cooperation in defense and in science and technology, other areas, and we share basic values. Now, how we can spread peace and stability around the region, I think the Abraham Accords is really the key to this. And this is an initiative that the U.S. and Israel have been at the center of, and I think the more that we can, Israel can form alliances with other countries in the region and understand that the real threat to the stability of the region is the regime in Iran, which is using very sinister methods to attack Israel and to destabilize the region. And I think building an alliance to counter Iran's sinister activities is really the key to increasing stability in the region.
My last question, how do you see Hezbollah involvement and as a proxy of Iran in disturbing the border between Lebanon and Israel?
Oh, Hezbollah. Well, Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran, and yeah, they are absolutely, and they are a greater threat than Hamas even, and they're causing devastation in northern Israel. They have potential to cause much more devastation in Israel and in southern Lebanon. And yeah, I mean, they're a very really existential threat. But we know who their patron is. It's the government of Iran, and so I think Hezbollah is an example of multiple fronts on which the regime in Iran is working, not just to attack Israel, but to attack the United States, to attack the Arab world, democratic values. And they need to be confronted.
Yeah, Rabbi Eric Faskel, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Richard Heyman, you are the chairman of Israel Forever Foundation. Tell us why anti-Semitism is rising, it's at the epic, and how we can combat it. What do you evaluate the efforts between Israel and the US in that matter?
Yes, Maria, prior to October 7th, the world thinks we were all in a good place. October 7th surely changed everything. The heinous, barbaric attack by Hamas, supported by the Islamic Republic of Iran, is unconscionable, unacceptable. People have died, people have lost their families, people have lost their futures. And this incident, which must be blamed properly on Hamas, a terror organization, and on Iran, a designated terrorist state, instead, already on October 8th, became the fault of Israel. And it gave people license to come out and say, Israel did this and Israel did that. And that gave license to people to be able to demonstrate their hate, demonstrate their discrimination. Part of the problem is, though, I began with the point we all thought we were in a good place October 7th, before October 7th. Clearly we weren't. I was the chairman of the delegation to the UN Durban conference, the conference on racism, back 20-some years ago. We went to Durban, South Africa. It was a hate fest, not just against Israel, a hate fest against the Jewish people. Anti-Semitism, anti-Israelism, anti-Zionism. And this has been growing over at least these last 20 years. And so what we have today is a need to stand up against hate and discrimination
Yeah.
of the Jewish people, hate and discrimination of Israel, but also hate and discrimination of all people.
How Israel can face the threats that it's going on, the current threats, and how prepared Israel is to for potential conflict scenarios.
Israel, since its founding, has been fighting a multi-pronged war. It began with the War of Independence. Then there was the war in 1956 and the war in 1967 and the war in 1973. And after that, the change was from a war on the battlefield to a diplomatic war. And then there became the terror war, and Israel has faced this for decades. Hijackings, suicide bombings, stabbings of innocent people. Israel is prepared. I'm sorry what happened on October 7th. Israel clearly failed to protect her people.
Yeah.
Failed to protect her people, no question. But that was one day, one incident. Israel is rising to the occasion and doing everything it can to see to it that Hamas is destroyed and to give a future not only for the Israeli people, a future for the people in Gaza.
Exactly. My question is, we are witnessing the escalation between Hezbollah and Israel. What impact would a global war or like regional war have on U.S.-Israel relations?
Hezbollah, like Hamas, is a designated terror organization. Hezbollah, like Hamas, is supported by Iran, which must be held fully accountable. And Hezbollah's attack on the Druze community in Israel in the last days, killing innocent children, has shown the world of the nature of the terror. It is important to separate the Lebanese people from Hezbollah, just like it's important to separate all peace-loving people from the terrorists and from Hamas and from Hezbollah. Israel is a strong nation, and Israel's relations with the United States is beyond comprehension in strength, of longevity, and future. You know, because we're in a political season here in the United States, there's an election year. Okay, you have the Democrats pulling one way, the Republicans pulling another way, the independents pulling another way, and Israel and the Jewish people have become a hot political football because the election will be decided by a small minority of Americans. So it's a shame that politics have entered into the situation, and what we must do is stand strong with Israel, the most democratic ally of the United States in the entire Middle East, one of the United States' strongest allies in the past, in present, and for the future, and see to it that Israel and her people, all of her people, are safe, because otherwise we cannot achieve regional stability. We cannot achieve the long-term goal of peace and security that the United States has and that Israel has.
Richard Hedman, thank you so much for your thoughts. Hopefully we'll do another interview in the future.
Thank you, Maria.
يلا انت ماخذ كل تو شوت.
Afnir Pram, I'm going to ask you some questions concerning anti-Semitism. What is the main causes of rising anti-Semitism today?
The success of Israel, the jealousy of other people about Israel and their success. Israeli companies in high tech, in other places are doing so well, so people jealous. It's always like this. The success of Judaism and people that live in Israel is big, and many people around the world are jealous.
You lived in Lebanon a long time ago.
I didn't leave, I visited.
You visited. Okay, what did you see? How do you see the influence of Hezbollah there?
Hezbollah is a representative of Iran over there, and Iran hate Israel, hate the Jews, and we should do everything to destroy Hezbollah. That's all.
How do you see the reaction of Israel toward the killing of 12 children, Druze children, in Majd al-Shams? So, how Israel should react?
over there, do anything possible and help the Druze. I like the Druze. They are very good people. I served them in the army with the Druze. They are excellent people, and Israel should give them all the help in the world. And if possible, help them, help be part of the destruction of. I serve in the army. Beside me, I'm Jewish. Beside me were Druze people, and